They buried her, thinking she was dead. But 3 days later, the ground above her grave started to move. When they opened a coffin, her hands were bloody, her eyes wide open. Doctors called it a miracle. Others called it a curse. This is the true story of Maria, the girl who came back after death. But what happened next still haunts the doctors to this day.
They said she was gone. But some deaths don't stay silent forever. Maria Lopez was just 23, a kind nurse from Texas, full of life and laughter. She lived with her mother, worked long shifts, and believed in helping everyone. But one night during her duty, she suddenly collapsed. Doctors rushed to her, performed CPR, and used the defibrillator again and again. After 30 minutes, the monitors stayed flat. Her pulse was gone, and the room filled with silence. Maria Lopez was declared dead at 3:17 a.m. Her family broke down in tears. By the next morning, a funeral was arranged.
The church was cold and filled with whispers. The sound of the organ echoed faintly through the hall as people wiped their tears and stared at Maria's closed coffin. Her mother sat in the front row, clutching her daughter's photograph, whispering prayers. The priest spoke softly, "May her soul find peace in the arms of the Lord." But peace was the last thing Maria would find. Her mother kissed her forehead, saying, "Rest now, my child." Maria's skin was pale, but still looked alive. One of her cousins whispered, "She looks like she's just sleeping." The coffin was sealed, nails hammered shut, each sound of the hammer echoing like thunder in the mother's chest. The priest sprinkled holy water and whispered the final prayer. Then they carried her out of the church, the coffin shaking slightly as it moved down the aisle. The rain started falling, slow at first, then heavy. Thunder rolled across the sky as they lowered her into the ground. They buried her deep under the Texas soil, while her mother cried until her voice broke. The last handful of dirt hit the coffin with a dull thud. And then, silence. For 3 days, everything was quiet. No one visited. No one spoke of her again. Until one worker noticed something strange. The next morning, he saw the soil on Maria's grave disturbed, like something had pushed it from beneath. He frowned. "Maybe an animal," he muttered. But the cracks looked too wide, too deep. He called his team and they started digging. The deeper they went, the stronger the smell became, something metallic. When they reached the coffin, the top had a large dent, as if someone had hit it from inside. "God, what happened here?" one of them whispered. When they opened the coffin, Maria's body wasn't lying still. Her face was twisted in horror, mouth slightly open, eyes wide. Her hands were near her face, frozen in terror. Her fingernails were broken, and there was blood everywhere. The inside of the coffin was covered in scratch marks, hundreds of them, like she fought for hours. Her legs were bent unnaturally. Her lips were torn, as if she had screamed until the air ran out. The people screamed and backed away. The priest made the sign of the cross, trembling. Maria had tried to escape, but no one heard her. They say the graveyard fell silent again that night, but some workers claimed they heard faint knocking sounds from underground.
Her body was taken back to the hospital under the cover of night. The medical team was tense, whispering among themselves. No one could explain the bizarre reports from the grave. The attending doctors had never seen anything like this. As they ran the scans, a chilling truth began to surface. Maria's lungs still had traces of air. It was impossible. She had been buried alive. Her blood had moved slightly under the microscope, indicating faint circulation. The room fell silent as the realization hit. She had survived burial, at least for a short time. Some doctors whispered the term Lazarus syndrome. It was an extremely rare phenomenon where the heart spontaneously restarts minutes or hours after death. But in Maria's case, the heart had restarted after she was sealed in the coffin underground, something that had never been recorded in medical history. The senior doctors argued over explanations. One said it was a medical miracle, proof of the body defying death. Another, more skeptical, suggested it was a warning or punishment from fate itself. Meanwhile, the hospital staff were shaken. They couldn't sleep, haunted by the thought that Maria's last moments might have been spent trapped in darkness, clawing to breathe. Her mother, however, could not stop blaming herself. She replayed the scene of her daughter's burial in her mind every night. The what-ifs tormented her. She had kissed Maria goodbye, thinking she was resting peacefully, only to learn that her child had suffered unimaginable fear underground. Every Sunday, she visits Maria's grave. She leaves a single white rose, the flower her daughter had always adored. The simple gesture carries more than remembrance. It is a plea for forgiveness, for peace, for closure that may never come. Locals say that on quiet nights, when the wind moves just right, they can hear strange sounds coming from the grave. Some say it's faint knocking, others say whispering. People avoid that area after dark, fearing they might witness something beyond the realm of the living. It's as if Maria is still trying to reach out, trapped between life and death. Her spirit, or perhaps a lingering consciousness, refuses to leave the earth that once betrayed her. Doctors who investigated the case have reportedly left their jobs, unable to reconcile what they saw. Others document it as an anomaly, a record of the human body's fragility and mysterious power. Yet no one can explain the scratches inside the coffin, the broken fingernails, and the terror etched onto her small face. Psychologists speculate that if she had survived even for a few minutes underground, the trauma would have been enough to cause permanent psychological damage had she lived. This case remains a warning about the fine line between life and death, a story that medical textbooks hesitate to mention. Forensic reports concluded that Maria's struggle to breathe and escape was recorded in her tiny body. Marks on her hands, scratches on the coffin lid, and the displaced soil around her grave. It was proof of life against all odds, a grim reminder of human vulnerability. Local legend now surrounds her name. Children are told not to wander near the cemetery, and adults whisper about the girl who clawed her way from the grave. The story has become a symbol of caution and a chilling mystery that refuses to fade with time. Some visitors claim that on certain nights, they've seen a faint shadow rise from the ground, as if Maria herself is still trying to free herself. Whether it's the wind, imagination, or something supernatural, the fear persists. Her mother keeps visiting every Sunday, leaving her white rose. Each time she whispers apologies, hoping her daughter can forgive her. The cemetery remains quiet, except for that occasional knocking sound from below, echoing into the night. Even the doctors who saw her cannot explain why she survived so long in the coffin. It challenges the understanding of life, death, and the human body. Maria's story has become one of those rare cases that blends medical mystery with supernatural dread. In the end, Maria's life reminds us of the fragile boundary between life and death, and how even in the darkness, traces of hope, struggle, and fear leave permanent marks. Some say she rests in peace now. Others claim her spirit still wanders, waiting for the world to truly understand what happened in that Texas grave.